Coach, congratulations on the NIT bid. I assume you knew it was a good possibility after the Big 12 tournament. Just kind of what were your thoughts yesterday going into it? You know, it was kind of some questions about the auto bid in Oklahoma, and people didn't know what they were going to do or get in the tournament. So what was kind of your initial reaction when you learned you were in it and hosting, and especially a team like USF?
Well, we're happy to still be playing, first and foremost. I mean, I think for any competitor, you don't want your season to end. And our players and myself, we didn't want it to end. So, you know, I think they're excited to still be playing. You know, I'm excited, of course. I love this game. And for us establishing a culture that we want to establish, you know, to be the first year in the Big 12 and to go to a postseason tournament, especially, you know, you couldn't make the NCAA, but you go to the NIT. I think it's a really good first step for the group that we have, and establishing a culture of playing beyond the regular season is something that's very important for us to establish here at UCF.
I want to go back to the BYU game. What most frustrates you about the way the team exited the Big 12 tournament?
Well, I mean, it's frustrating, you know, that we gave up the things that we had talked about not giving up, which was the three-point shot. They hit 14 threes against us. We really emphasized take away the three. And granted, I mean, some of those threes were tough, and they made some hard shots. They can really shoot the basketball. But that was a huge emphasis for us, and also keeping them off the free throw line. He took 29 free throws. So 14 threes and 29 free throws is the exact things we talked about in execution that we didn't want to give up, because they're very good when they accomplish both of those things.
And they jumped out on you early.
The
That's
threes.
been a challenge throughout the season, being down early.
Definitely. You know, they got off to a fast start, knocked down a couple threes in a row, and established them with a 6-0 run right away, which they were able to build on to about a 12-2 run to start the game. And that's tough. And then we're fighting uphill from that point on. I thought our guys, like always, have done a great job of competing. We ended up cutting it to one possession, a 3-point lead, but then we couldn't overcome, you know, that deficit and take the lead.
Coach, this time last year, you had said you were happy to extend and continue playing in the postseason as something you guys kind of accomplished. What is it you were able to put together to not only compete, best conference in basketball, lose a top NBA draft pick, Taylor Hendricks to a top NBA draft pick, roll all that over, and then when tomorrow's said and done, you would have played 3 conference champions on your schedule. What was the key to roll that over, get back to post-conference play to make the NIT?
Well, one, we have a terrific staff, you know, and two, I think the leadership that we had at the top, guys like Shamari Allen, guys like Darius Johnson, you know, guys like Jalen Sellers, they did a great job of leading our team. They knew our standards, they knew our expectations, and they gave us what they had every single night. And that's what you want to see. But they were great in the locker room, they were great on the court, and they believed in what we were doing. And I think that's why, you know, we put ourselves in position to have some, you know, quality wins, and put ourselves in position to continue playing.
You have a lot of new faces on the team this year. You guys are playing USF tomorrow. For some of the new faces, do you kind of have to get them up to speed about the, you know, the war on I-4 and the rivalry and whatnot?
Yeah, we have to get them up to date as we continue going forward. You know, with regards to that, as you mentioned, a lot of these players don't realize that, and they have a lot of new faces too. So it's probably the same way on their end. But you know, it's great. You know, it's great to play. You know, UCF. I think they probably feel the same way. You know, unfortunately, we're not, you know, in the same league anymore, but you know, that was always a great rivalry, and the War of I-4 was something I think took on, you know, special meaning for all of us, and as competitors, and so yeah, we have to get our guys up to speed with regards to you know, exactly what it means.
All day today to prep and most of tomorrow, but how much of a scramble is it, and how much of a difference is the preparation when you didn't play them this year?
Totally different. I mean, they have a new coach, so they have a new system. So there's not very much familiarity, you know, going back to last year's scouts. So a lot of new things are coming out with regards to what we have to do. And so, like you said, we'll spend, you know, today, you know, we started last night. We'll spend today and this evening and, you know, part of tomorrow, you know, finalizing our prep, because, like I said, there are a lot of things that are different in this year's team.
Johnny, the transfer portal opens up today for some reason. How challenging is it for a coach now? I mean, you're trying to prepare for an NIT game, the portal opens up. I'm sure you have to keep your eye on what's in the portal for the future, but also your own guys on your own team. I mean, how challenging is it for a coach to have to deal with all this when you're getting ready for a tournament game?
It's challenging, but you have to adapt. I mean, it's just the nature of where we are in college sports right now. And so for us, I mean, we can multitask. You know, we're capable of you know, doing the things we need to do, and you know, we have enough support staff and people in our program that keep an eye on, you know, what's going on in the portal, who's available, and if there are calls that we need to make, you know, we'll make the calls we need to make based on what we're trying to do in the portal, and finding out, you know, our guys, you know, what's going to happen with them. I mean, it's just part of it. But I'm sure while we're playing, no one's going to, you know, do anything, of course, until after the season's over, you know, with regards to a team that's still competing.
So you don't have there's no one on your team that you know of that's gone in the portal or anything today?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I would have got a call, or you know, someone would have told me from our support staff that, you know, one of our players are in, or they would have told us themselves, and so that hadn't happened for us as of yet.
I know it's still early in the process, but any early scouting report on this USF team, what you've seen?
You know, really talented, very good shooting basketball team. Seem to play well together. Look, they have very good chemistry.
Coach, going back to the BYU game real quick, obviously you'd rather see it in a win, but Darius Johnson had a huge game. I think he broke 30 points. On top of the fact he'll be playing USF in this game upcoming with the rivalry. Is that the kind of motivation, is that kind of confidence you want to see for your team leader to be prepared for success coming into this tournament game?
No, it's fun watching, you know, young people kind of evolve and, you know, becoming the players that, you know, we thought when we were recruiting them. You know, he's a very capable scorer. I think people are seeing that more now, but it takes time to grow into those roles. And I think he's done a good job. I think you're seeing him starting to turn the corner as a becoming the player that we think he can become. He's a scorer. He also can facilitate. I think he's shown all of those things now during his time here at UCF.
You said competitors want to keep playing. What was the reaction of players to the announcement you're continuing on in the NIT, especially the seniors?
Well, they're happy to be still playing. They realize the importance of it for them. You know, everyone wants to end their season with a win. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. That means you won a championship. And so those players feel the same way. They understand the importance of finishing out the season, having a chance to still compete for a championship, and then we have to go out and put our best foot forward. You know, and that's where we have to, you know, switch gears from being off since last Wednesday and to get ourselves back in gear to play. But our guys have practiced, you know, really well. The spirits have been good in the gym, and that's what you want to see.
A lot of teams,
Yeah.
a lot of teams in the NIT probably wish they were in another tournament. And so you have had past success making deep runs in the NIT. Is there something you can tap into in terms of maybe the psychological aspect of it, or does it really just depend on who you're playing?
No, absolutely. I think it's all about the mindset, and it's all about, as competitors, man, you know, keeping time and score. So somebody's going to win. So why not us? And I always tell our players that. And so, and the same thing applies anytime you're playing any game. You know, they're keeping time and score. So as competitors, you want to be on top of that. And so that's the approach we take with our guys. You know, we take it one game at a time. We don't worry about who's in our bracket, who we're looking at beyond, you know, USF. That's all we're concerned with. And we're going to pour all our prep into them. And hopefully we can, you know, have a nice performance and we can move on. But we know if we don't play well, that won't happen because they're a very good basketball team.
What do you think about all these schools, you know, opting out of the NIT? I know former coach Tom Crean kind of had an opinion on it last night on that broadcast, but a lot of teams are just saying they're not even interested, not even giving their players another chance to play.
Well, I mean, everyone has to coach their own program, so I have no real comment other than everyone's going to do what's best for their program. You know, I'm a big believer in, you know, the more games you get under your belt, the more experiences you share as a team, especially for the guys that may be returning, the better off you are, because it's still working on chemistry, still working on playing in the postseason, albeit it may not be the tournament that you set your goals for. It doesn't mean you're still not playing in a very good tournament. You have 355 Division I teams. You're talking about 100 teams that are still playing in either the NCAA or NIT. So for us, I have a great deal of respect for that, understanding that there are a lot of opportunity for us to grow as a team and for us to still compete for a championship in a situation where I know there are going to be some other very good teams in the field as well.
Johnny, how does the playing in the Big 12, how does that maybe help you guys, that experience going into this tournament and facing some teams that maybe aren't obviously on your conference schedule?
Well, it's going to be very competitive no matter what, because everyone, any kind of tournament situation, you're going to see that in both tournaments, of course. It's do or die. So everybody's going to play with a desperation, a hunger, and so you have to come out every possession, understanding that you have to be, you have to execute very well, whether it's offensively or defensively on every possession, because no one wants to end their season. Anyone that's in this tournament wants to win this tournament. So you're going to see everyone's best effort on both sides. I don't think conferences are going to play that type of a factor or role in this type of an event, because just like the NCAA, you're going to see all kind of teams can emerge because, they're hungry, they're desperate, and they're going to make plays.
The players, the program earned the bid, and the NIT gave you a home game, but it's spring break. You've relied heavily this year on the crowd support. The players have fueled off that. What do you expect tomorrow night? What do you want tomorrow night?
Well, I understand it's spring break. I'm hoping any of the students that didn't go away, will attend the game, of course. That just really would be helpful, as well as our community here in Orlando. I'm hopeful that everyone will come out and rally around, especially, with the game of us and USF. So it's been our rival for years. So, I'm hoping that we can get a good crowd. I know they'll probably travel with a good crowd as well. So it should be hopefully a good environment for us to compete in.
Some rules changes in the NIT, namely the widening of the free throw lane. How have you taught that, practiced that here in the last day or so?
Well, we're in the position where we have to make sure that our guys understand it's going to be a little bit different as far as box outs and rebounding is concerned with the wider lane. And we have to make sure our guys understand that because of that, you're going to have to meet guys earlier, because if not, they'll have an opportunity to run around you and get to offensive rebounding position. So you got to be really cognizant of who you're boxing out and making sure you get contact.
Did you see that in practice today?
No, we didn't do that in practice today. We went over, we shot free throws and did some things, but it was mostly on us trying to understand the importance of, being focused and knocking our free throws down.
Coach, I know there's still basketball left to play with the postseason, but with the way the regular season's gone, UCF's first year in the Big 12 basically complete. How do you feel about how they did this year, and how do you feel about the future of this program and your role in it?
Well, it's tough for me because, like I said, we have our standards, and so I think as far as our standards were concerned, we didn't accomplish what we wanted to accomplish. I think as far as, I think the expectations around us, I think, we probably surprised some people and maybe achieved, in people's opinions of what we were supposed to do. So it's just a matter of perspective. I just don't like to get beat. I mean, I never will. That when that time comes, time for me to go do something else. So of course, that's how I feel about it, and my team does too. But as far as I think expectations outside, I think people will, generally speaking, will say that they were surprised and that we overachieved based on where they thought we'd finish in the Big 12.
I know you're no longer in the same conference as USF, but just what do you think about the job Coach Abdur-Rahim did in his first season, coming in from Kennesaw and leading the Bulls to a regular season conference championship?
I think the coach did a amazing job with his group. I understand how competitive the American Conference is. We were in it for a number of years. To win the championship says a lot about him and his team. They did a great job of coaching. He and the staff and his players did a great job of playing for each other. That's the only way you can accomplish something of that magnitude.
Obviously, it's the War on I-4 tomorrow night, the NIT. Would this be a series that you consider maybe in the non-conference schedule in years to come?
Yeah, we'll always consider, USF because, like I said, they've been a rival. I think our area, our community, have liked that game. And so, we'll look at our schedule based on, I'm not sure now we're adding teams in the Big 12, so I'm not sure how we're going to, go about this as far as scheduling, games or how many games we'll be playing in that conference because I haven't heard anything. But, we have to be aware of all those factors, but, we'll always entertain it because, again, I think it's been, I know during my time, it's been a great game. It's been some amazing games versus them over the years.
What's the health of your team going into tomorrow?
Fairly healthy. We're not at full strength. Of course, everybody's banged up this time of year, so I'm not sure if we'll have everyone, participating, but, we're still fairly healthy, as far as, where we are in preparation for tomorrow's game.
Anybody not playing?
If anybody doesn't play, it'll be CJ. CJ may not play tomorrow's game.
What's wrong?
Still, battling same things he's been battling since he's, been here for us and still recovering. But, he's not scheduled to be out the entire time. So if we are fortunate enough to continue and move forward, there's a possibility he could be back for us.
Johnny, 9 o'clock tip tomorrow night. What is that? Have you just changed anything when you're looking at a later tip like that? Does that go through your mind? Anything maybe different you have to do?
For us, our prep will stay the same. Everything will just get pushed back by a couple hours, and how we function usually with a 7 o'clock tip we'll push everything back by 2 hours and work off the same schedule at that point.
Just real quick on the portal, I'm just kind of curious how you operate that as a staff in terms of just recruiting the portal. Do you have a coach or a couple coaches that are kind of maybe in charge of the portal and evaluating guys and bringing them to you? These are guys we could be interested in?
Well, our entire staff, looking at the portal to see exactly, what's going on. And we get updates on the portal, regularly to see who's in the portal, because we can't do anything until they're in the portal. So we're just looking at what names are surfacing, would they be fits for us, and or, what we're looking to do. So, but all of our guys take responsibility for that, all of our staff. And of course, our support staff are, that's for them, it's around the clock, because their eyes are on it all the time as we're practicing or playing games.
A lot of USF fans have said that their season earned them, a home game, and now they face the road. Does that make them a more dangerous team, perhaps, that they're more frustrated that they're not hosting?
I think any added motivation, I can understand it, but I think the fact that it's, a previous rival, I think that will be a lot of motivation in itself for both teams to get out there and compete. And that's just added maybe motivation for them, but the bottom line is, even without that, they're going to compete in this game, of course, just like we would, because, we both have been, joined at the hip as long as I have been here.
Big 12 got a record 8 schools in the NCAA tournament. You think that's legit? Think that's fair for the conference?
Having played in the conference, absolutely. I think it's fair. I think all those teams are, deserving of that opportunity based on how they played, this year. I mean, I've had a chance to face all those teams, and I thought they actually could have had more, to be quite frank. But I understand how this game is. But definitely, it was so competitive from top to bottom, and I think I've said that before. It was like there was really no bottom, it was just top and middle. I mean, it was such a, it was a very small, difference or separation between the teams. And I think that showed all season long. That's how healthy a conference it is.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.